Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I am all gonna catch. Look this beautiful screen. Nice background. I want to take, before I officially begin the show, I want to really thank our in-house crew, Sadiq and Saif, for doing a wonderful job in the past month with our first 3 episodes of Islam Chose Me. So welcome dear viewers to Islam Chose Me right here on the Islamic Broadcast Network, IBN Channel 8. You could also find us on Facebook and tegotv.com. And remember, we have reruns every Saturday at 6 p.m. inshallah. I am your host, Brother M.T. Masolowazi, the activist educator. And each week, we'll share the powerful journeys of our brothers and sisters who have embraced Islam. Their stories of discovery, struggle, and transformation remind us of the truth that Allah guides whom He wills in ways that inspire and motivate us all. So, we have a very special guest on this very special day, on this very special set. More special again, right? So this month, November month, is African Heritage Month. And to kick off this month, we have with us our dear beloved brother, Dr. David Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Islam Chose Me.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much, Brother Mtima, and it's a pleasure to be on here on IBN again after so long. But it's really great to be back in studio. And I want to salute you for the work that you're doing, not only in this dimension here, but in the numerous other projects that you spearhead, and especially in the way that you're able to outreach to young people. I think there's tremendous value in that. So thank you for the invitation.
Ameen. Thank you. And so, Brother David, I think the world knows who Brother David is, right? And I'm not trying to inflate your ego, but it's a reality. You yourself have done a lot of work over the years. Some quietly, some we have seen on the media, but I could say most have been done quietly, right, in your spaces. But before we get to Dr. David Muhammad, tell us a bit about who is David Muhammad?
Well, I am a Muslim. First and foremost, I'm a brother, and I have been called Brother David for as far as I could remember in embracing Islam in the early 1990s, even in the martial arts school, which I'm a second-degree black belt in karate, student of Professor Don Jacob. I've always been Brother David, and I am a sociologist. I am a student of Black Studies. I am a traveler, I guess could be said also. And I'm a brother in the best sense of the word. And I do my best to be diligent about my duty in my faith as it pertains to my community and whatever services I could provide to my people.
Yeah. And so you paint a picture that if we didn't know before, we know now, right? But I like how you say our brother in the true sense of the term, like in humanity.
Yes.
Because not just Muslims will call you Brother David. I've heard many people, everybody is.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's how it's been.
Brother David, yeah.
And I never asked anyone to call me Brother David, but I evolved into the realization that that's how I'm seen, you know, especially in the martial arts school.
Wait, so in martial arts, you refer to each other as brother?
Not universally, but, you know, I mean, I started martial arts, well, in the system that I'm in now in 1995, and I've always been Brother David from the very beginning, you know.
So you mentioned, you trained under Professor Don Jacob.
Yes.
And I want to use that as a segue Because, you know, brother, Professor Don Jacob is a Belmont man.
Yes, of course. Westbury Lane. Yeah.
Right? And I want to go straight into Belmont because you didn't know of such we were speaking. I was born in Belmont
Yes.
on Leon Hill, and I was sharing with you that recently someone told me, you know, Brother David from Belmont. I said, who Brother David? He said, David Muhammad. I said, Belmont? Tell us about this What is your connection, Brother David, to Belmont?
I'd like to describe myself as the self-appointed junior skateboard champion of Belmont. Thanks to the 1981 general elections, you know, where they paved all the roads in Belmont. No, but I at age 10, I had skateboarded all over Belmont, in and out, back and forth, almost every known road. My father, Louis Belgrave, was born in Reed Lane, Belmont, and we had those two houses in between the gas station, Reed Lane and 137 Belmont Circular Road, and we had a back passage connecting the two houses with the gas station in the middle.
But let the viewers know, so Reed Lane and Belmont, for those who don't know, if you know Belmont Circular Road, there's a gas station.
Yep.
That small lane, Reed Lane was real
Yes,
small.
it's a very, yeah. But believe it or not, two cars actually do pass up and down.
In Reed Lane?
Yeah. You'll be surprised. No, you'll be surprised.
But David, that's
Two cars actually pass.
like how this in America have one car lane. So Reed Lane is a small lane.
Yeah. If you walk there now, you might not believe that cars pass up and down.
David, I used to bring water from Leon. We used to bring water from the park.
Yeah.
And we had to go through Reed Lane.
Yeah. But
Right?
and I've actually driven through Reed Lane before with another car coming up.
Wow.
So yeah, it's quite and I mean the cars are literally almost like airtight space. But that's what it is.
Yeah, so Reed Lane takes you from Belmont Circular Road by the gas station.
Yeah. To
And it
Norfolk
ends
Street.
on
Well, it takes
Norfolk
you
Street.
across Pelham Street
Well, yeah, that cross here.
and then to the end, Norfolk Street.
By the park, by Belmont
Yeah,
Park.
by the park.
So if you know Belmont Park, you know the gas station.
Yeah.
That very tiny lane.
But is that called Belmont Park now?
I know they did some refurbishment to the park. I'm not sure if they changed the name, but I will pass and check and see.
Yeah, I need to check on that.
But I know the corporation did some refurbishment
Right.
on the park very recently. Yeah. All right, so let's say the skateboard champion.
well, again, it was the elections. That was around the time when I came to Trinidad for the first time, because of course my parents are Trinidadian. I was born in Somerset, in England.
Okay.
And my brother was born in London. And we came to Trinidad in the late 1970s. And we actually first lived for 6 months in Sharfler, Mount Dore Road.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah,
know.
with
Yes, I
my
know.
aunt, Claudia Pigas, fashion designer.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we moved back into, so our family owned those two houses.
In Reed Lane.
Yeah, Reed Lane and
And the
Belmont
circle, yeah,
Circular
the
Road,
circle,
yeah.
yeah.
But one of them was occupied at the time, so, you know, we moved in December, the end of that year, 1979. And, you know, we stayed there for about 3 or 4 years.
Okay.
And then moved to Dabadie. But I mean, those were times. That's the time when I really learned Trinidad.
Living in Belmont.
Sharfler for a bit.
Okay, and then
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Belmont was when I really. It was being a young person living in Belmont that I began to explore.
nice.
Hence, you know, the skateboard and so on. And, you know, we'll go up to the savannah, but I don't recall crossing the savannah. But back then, too, the savannah was two-way.
You know, I
Got you there.
Yeah,
savannah is two-way. And if I'm not
can't remember
mistaken...
Savannah. Only one carnival time I remember the Savannah is two-way. But
No, well, that's another thing.
I can't remember.
So, the Savannah would have reverted to two-way for a couple carnivals.
Yeah, carnival. Yeah.
I think they've stopped that.
It's not, okay.
But the Savannah was two-way for, again, probably, and obviously I won't be able to remember exactly,
Yeah.
but I think sometime up to about the mid-1980s. Yeah, you could have come out of Belmont Circular Road and it turned right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then they would have went back, carnival here and there. But yeah, Savannah was two-way. I don't recall crossing the Savannah to go into the Savannah by myself.
You
that
say
is.
mid-80s. So when I entered secondary school, it was 1983, you know.
And you remember the Savannah being one way then?
Yeah, I think so. It would have
Okay.
changed back earlier then.
Well, maybe.
Because I would have been in
81,
primary
82.
school. I went Belmont Government Primary School, which was
Right.
called Methodist.
Yeah. And I went to school opposite that. Briggs.
Okay.
Yeah.
A private
Briggs
school.
Private School. Yeah, which is now in Cascade, I think.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
they moved to Cascade.
Yes. You're correct.
Yeah. And but I mean those were the days.
Yeah.
Trinidad was a lot safer as well. One of my most vivid memories was about that time. I remember there was a heinous crime that took place where I think it was a murder, kidnapping, something like that. And it was, the whole country stood still. This would have been 1979.
Okay.
And I remember so vividly the front page of the Express newspaper having 8 faces of the culprits, apparently, or suspects. 6 of them were Rastafarian. 2 were normal, low haircut Africans. And I remember our school principal, and this tells you about the kind of stigma that there was in Trinidad back then. I remember our school principal, Mr. Briggs, addressing the school, showing us this, and look, this is what the country's coming to, even though back then we would have probably had about 30 or 40 murders a year. But I remember our school principal, Mr. Briggs, saying, look at this is what happened, and 2 of these actually look like decent people. Think of a school principal saying that to students. 6 Rastafarians, 2 non-Rastafarian. He said, look, 2 of these actually look like decent people. What was the message? And again, Trinidad, gosh, at that time was so, always has been, remains very classist, in addition to being racist. There was a very heavy skin color discrimination.
You said 1979.
Yeah, 1978, 79, 80, 81.
So I would have been in primary school, and we were just opposite you all.
Yeah.
And this is what I could remember in primary school. I had 3 friends who were Rasta.
In school?
Yeah, that was their religion.
Yeah.
Their mother, their father, they were Rasta. 2 were brothers, and then this other one. And I remember in school, they cut their hair. Yeah. I remember that day we cried, right? They had their hair in this plastic bag, all the locks, and we crying as children, right? Because they cut their hair because they couldn't come to school with and all I knew, it would have been in the 70s, but I can't remember exactly, 78, 79.
Because that's what the police used to do a lot.
I was in primary school when those guys got their hair cut.
Years later, there was a case of the Rastafarian girl at the St. Charles Catholic High School who was not allowed to come into the school as a Rasta. But interestingly, though, and this is probably where the classism eclipses aspects of the racism, because I remember as well, very clearly, this is a whole other discussion, but the Football League at the time, you had 10 teams. And then there'll be 2 teams getting relegated every year, and 2 teams from the lower league will come up. And it was called the Wranglers, the Jeans, Wranglers Colleges League. And I remember, and I'll need to ask certain people about this, but there were 2 brothers in Fatima College. They were like light-skinned Africans, but both of them were Rastas. They were on the football team, and their surname was Neto. The Neto brothers. One was Brian Neto, and I can't remember the name of the other, but I know who I could ask to get that. And they were like middle-class Rastafarians, and clearly they weren't having a problem being in Fatima College at that time.
Okay.
Yeah. That would have been about 81, 82, 83. Because my school, Trinity College, we were the Intercol champions of 1980. I'm not sure how many times we've won since then, but the Neto brothers, they were very, very, very popular, you know, footballers, and they were the only Rastafarians, like in the colleges that we were aware of at the time. But again, you know, Trinidad and Tobago was an evolving society.
Oh, as I said, we could go in a whole...
Yeah, because that whole colleges league football thing is... Let me share this really, really quick, if I may. I'll try to be less than 60 seconds on this. So you had 10 teams, Fatima, CIC, QRC, Trinity, John Donaldson, and the other team, I remember Tranquility was there, Barataria, Senior Comprehensive, Mucurapo, St. Augustine, and there was one more which will come to mind.
Intermediate?
No.
I'm just trying something now.
Right. Now, I remember the first year, Barataria and Tranquility got relegated, and I think San Juan Secondary came up, but someone else. And that's what it was. Every year, 2 teams go down, 2 teams come up.
Yeah.
But the year that Fatima and CIC were relegated, I think it was 1985, they changed the whole system so that the prestige colleges could stay in the league. And what they did, instead of having 10 teams, they disbanded that system and had zones. So now you have North Zone, which was like 7 teams, South Zone.
They still have the...
Yeah, that's how it is now.
Yeah, that's how it is now.
East Zone, West Zone. But if Fatima and CIC and the prestige schools were not relegated, I don't believe they would have changed the system at that time. Now, in 1986, we saw a school by the name of El Dorado Senior Comprehensive winning the league with a player named Stern John, who to this date is Trinidad and Tobago's highest goal scorer, and also a great goalkeeper by the name of Clayton Ince. We also discovered a young player from a school in Tobago called Signal Hill. His name was Dwight York. We also discovered another young player from San Fernando Technical named Russell Latapy. And if the system did not change, look at those 3.
I get your point.
The 3 heroes of the World Cup, you can say. Dwight York, Russell Latapy, and Stern John. And, well, I mean, as fate would have it, the system did change, and you know, it's evolved to that point today. But yeah, that's a very significant piece of Trinidad history too.
So you mentioned, because I have to say something, as you're talking about that whole Rastafari experience. Yeah. I remember this from small too. You remember when the annex in the Anglican, I'm not sure if you knew about it, the annex in the Anglican church was burnt.
I don't recall.
Yeah, that was in the 80s. And, you know, I stand corrected by who watching it, but I remember it because somebody went to christen the child at the church, and an African name, and the priest wanted to know, what kind of name is that? And did not accept it. You know, that was a problem long ago. Yeah. Right? They couldn't get into certain schools, or it couldn't be christened because of certain names they carried. Or all right, but that's a whole, that's a whole next session.
Yeah, we've come a long way.
Yeah. Well, yes.
We've come a long way, and we have a very long way to go still. Yeah.
So, all right, looking back at the 80s with you growing up in Belmont, just say you explored not just roller skating, but based on...
Skateboarding.
Skateboarding.
Not into roller skates.
Oh, skateboarding is a skill.
It is.
Yeah, but apart from the skateboarding, you just mentioned some things that would have shown your headspace that you was thinking differently. Tell us a bit about that thought pattern that would have led you to embracing Islam. 'Cause that is really interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, as a child growing up in England, as I said, my brother was born in London.
Right.
My father was in the military, my mother was a nurse.
Okay.
And my father was the first black chief petty officer in the Royal Navy. And so he was posted in South England at a base called Daedalus, HMS Daedalus. And so the family moved down to Somerset, near Southampton. And that's when I was born, in the south of England. And so, unlike London, which always had a fairly large black population, and I mean, I've been teaching and lecturing in London for the last 2.5 years now.
Yes.
And I mean, many of the schools in London has an enormous Muslim population. I mean, the mayor of London right now is a Muslim. The political leader, the equivalent of Prime Minister of Scotland just the other day, Hamza Yusuf, was a Muslim. The mayor of London, Sadiq Khan. He used to be the lawyer for the Nation of Islam in lifting the ban on Minister Louis Farrakhan. He's a Muslim. And I don't want to exaggerate, but ever since October the 7th, 2023, there has been an average of, from my understanding, an average of at least 50,000 people marching in the street to stop Israel's genocide against the Palestinian people every week for 2+ years, including last week. And interestingly, I went up to Scotland, so obviously huge Muslim community in London,
Right.
in England, Birmingham. But here now, up in Scotland, it's mainly white people, white Christian people, and again, they are marching by the tens of thousands in support of Palestine. So, coming back to this period now, so I'm born in south of England. There was a lot of racism in the school system. I mean, obviously we had a lot of friends, a lot of close friends, all who were white. I had one friend from Pakistan, and he's probably the first Muslim that I ever met, thinking about it.
Okay.
But he had the surname D'Souza. His name is, D'Souza.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'm from Pakistan.
Yeah, my family was in Pakistan. And of course, then it was me and my brother in the school. Now, in leaving England to come to Trinidad, I was 8 years old. And then I went back to London to live when I was 20. But the first time I would have become interested in Islam would have been around 1986, 1987.
Okay.
Where a brother, I used to go to the drag mall in Port of Spain, and there was a brother I used to harass, tell me about this Islam. And I was given a Quran. And when I was going to England in 1990, that was around the time of the Iraq War and all of that. I left it in Trinidad. I was always interested in Islam, and then when I went to London, I went to a place called Notting Hill Gate, which is the area where they have the carnival, and I purchased 3 books in a second-hand bookstore. One was African Survivals in Trinidad and Tobago by Trinidad and Tobago's own Dr. J.D. Elder.
Okay.
This is in a bookshop in London. Second was The Struggle is My Life by Nelson Mandela. The third one was the autobiography of Malcolm X. So here I am reading Malcolm X, because I mean, Malcolm X's image was iconic at the time, was on a lot of T-shirts and so on. So I'm reading this Malcolm X autobiography and, reflecting on how he was criminal, gang member, robber, committing all these crimes. And then he heard about Islam, and his brother used to come and visit him, and his brother had learned about Islam from a man called Elijah Muhammad. Now, in reading the autobiography of Malcolm X, became a bit more interested in who Elijah Muhammad was than who Malcolm X was.
Okay.
And chapters 12, 13, and 14 in the autobiography of Malcolm X was talking about the Nation of Islam. And that there was this organization where black people came into and they stopped drinking alcohol. At the time when I read that, I was like, whoa, not me, you know? Stop drinking alcohol, stop smoking, stop gambling, got married, settled down, became a good father, opened businesses, pooled resources, and started living a responsible life. I admired that very much. And I decided, you know what, because I was attending a lot of meetings of all different kinds of consciousness groups.
Around that era?
Yeah.
That time,
yeah. But I was heavy into the alcohol and partying and so on. And I decided, you know what, let me go and look for these people. And I met some Muslims in Brixton. And, I'm like, well, I want to, I want to know more. And they invited me to a meeting in a place called Oval. And I started attending these meetings. I took Shahada with them. This is a kind of interesting story because one day, because they used to show these videos, one day they showed a video, because I thought it was quite educational, quite enlightening. One day they showed a video and they said that this man here is not the real representative of Elijah Muhammad. The real representative of Elijah Muhammad is the person who basically was the leader of that organization. And I'm like, well, who's this man? Louis Farrakhan. I said, oh, that's Farrakhan. Well, who's he? Well, he's the leader of the Nation of Islam. But I said, I thought you all were the Nation of, it was very confusing. And I went on to learn that there are quite a few movements in the world that claim representation of Elijah Muhammad, and it's fine, it's not an issue, but I found out about Minister Louis Farrakhan through them trying to discredit him, basically. And I said, okay, I have to go and find out where that group is. I come to Trinidad, and I was here for a month during the carnival period of 1992. And when I went back, I was heavily into rap music, and I used to hear the name Farrakhan all the time.
Yeah, it's true.
Like Public Enemy,
it's
Ice
true,
Cube, NWA, Big Daddy Kane, Ghetto Boys. And KRS-One spoke about a book in a song called Beef, about why we shouldn't eat the pig and so on. And he said, read this book called How to Eat to Live by Elijah Muhammad. And I remember the day that I got back to England, I found the book because I was looking for it, found the book, bought the book, read it in one day, and started practicing it immediately. In that book, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, we should eat one meal a day. And we should fast for the month of Ramadan, and that we should also fast for 3 days with no food, at least once a month. Now, I was so fascinated by that. And it was within that same week that I found out where the Nation of Islam was, 444 Ferndale Road. And I went in there, and I'm seeing all these black men, sharp, disciplined, respectful, treating the women in a way that I've never seen black men treat black women before. And I'm thinking, wow, this, I was really blown away by it. And I had decided around that time, because my girlfriend in Trinidad had become pregnant while I was there, and I was thinking about bringing her up to England. And I decided around that time, after joining the Nation of Islam, that I was going to go back to Trinidad and look to get it started there. Now, a very important part of this journey for me was, in coming back to Trinidad, a lot of people so I'll meet Muslims, and they'll say things like, oh no, that's not the real Islam. This is the real Islam. No, you shouldn't go that way. You should come with us. And, you know, a lot of that kind of talk. And I always looked at the work, the results, the mission, the way that the outreach was taking place. And I mean, I thought the Million Man March, which I attended, here Minister Farrakhan called 1 million black men, 2 million came. And I'm looking at the impact. Now, our people, and I'd say Muslims in general, tend to be very passionate about argument. And I have evolved to the point, and what I say to many of my Muslim brothers and sisters now when conversations like that come up, I'll put the Quran on the table and say, well, look, if there's anything at all in this Quran that you teach and follow, that the Nation of Islam does not teach and follow, the Quran, I will leave the Nation of Islam and I'll come and follow you. If you can show me from the Holy Quran revealed by Allah through the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, if you can show me anything in it that the Nation of Islam does not follow, and that you do, I'll leave the nation and I'll come and follow you. But no one to this date can show me that. But what they do show me that we are quote unquote not following is Arabian culture, Arabian tradition, or hadith, which is hypocritical because you can't point out hadith and say that we are not following that, therefore we're not Muslims, when you yourself are not following the hadith, and you cannot conveniently hand pick and select which bits and pieces of the hadith you want to follow and which bits and pieces you want me to follow. Because the Prophet said that every good Muslim man must have a spacious home, a loyal wife, and a fast camel. Where's the fast camel? You driving a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW. So you can't pick that one out and exclude it, but tell me, for example, things that, again, are not in the Quran. I was surprised when I started studying the Quran when it does not instruct us to, say, grow a beard or wear a taj or wear a jalab. The Quran tells us to dress modestly. It has its own culture. Islam facilitates the way of life for all peoples in any region of the earth, all races and ethnicities, regardless of who or what. And my study in the Quran brought me even closer into the Nation of Islam. And I mean, that was my journey, that was my entry into the faith.
Yes, well, Brother David, I think we had a nice overview of that. We want to take a break, right, and come back to continue this discussion. Viewers, I know you all enjoying the conversation, and I know you're enjoying the set, our new set. Thanks to Saif and Sadiq. We will take a break and come back with this wonderful discussion on Islam Chose Me.
Your lunchtime. Fruitopia, Fruitopia, it's a drink that's hype. The citrus punch, fruit punch tastes nice. Guava, pineapple, that give me a vibe. We no want nothing less compared to the rest. Fruitopia the best. Punch any thirst when it comes to the test. Perfect thing for my lunch. Flavors pack a punch. Fruitopia, Fruitopia, it's a drink that's hype. The citrus punch, fruit punch tastes nice. Fruitopia, the drink that rocks your lunchtime.
Try our new passion fruit flavor today. Taste the passion.
Assalamu alaikum. In this, our 20th anniversary of existence, we here at IBN want you to be a part of our family. Call us at 663-4762 or 795-5900. Those numbers again, 795-5900 or 663-4762, and be a part of our advertising campaign. Glorious and available rates to you and your company. So remember, call us here at IBN 663-4762 or 795-5900 and be a part of the IBN family.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, viewers, to this very insightful conversation with our brother David Muhammad. Now, before the break, right, you were speaking about in terms of output, you know, the works that have been done. And that's a nice segue into this section here where I want to ask you about the work you have been doing. Now, we know your work spans local, regional, international. But I want to focus on what you've been doing locally, right, with the Kwame Ture Center, the Kwame Ture Institute. Now, two things. Tell us about the work you have been doing at that center, and tell us why the name Kwame Ture.
Right. Well, at the Kwame Ture Center, we have a full schedule operating on a weekly basis. Of course, we have Juma on Fridays in our masjid area. We have the lectures that I do on Sundays. We have a boys' academy where we provide free breakfast and then have counseling sessions for the young boys between ages 15 to 17. We bring in the police officer, the fire officer, the athlete, the lawyer, the accountant, the entrepreneur,
Like a mentorship
farmers, and we have a girls' academy, which is more occasional. We have had the public speaking workshops. We have had the African expos, the business expos,
right,
the trade fairs.
Nobody public speaking. I've been a part of that.
Yes.
With Mr. Josiah.
Yes.
And Mr. Roberts.
Yep.
And the expo, I've been attended one of the expos. Yeah.
We have counseling sessions. We have agriculture sessions. We have grown several hundreds of heads of lettuce, tomatoes, okras, pak choy.
At the compound?
Corn, yeah. We constructed
aquaponics.
We have an aquaponics setup as well, which we have not harvested projects from as yet. But we constructed about 12 grow boxes, about 12 feet long, 2 feet high, 3 feet wide, filled them with soil, running all the way back, and a lot of projects. And we get the children to do it as well. We say that they have to learn the culture of agriculture, based on the principle that if 1,000 poor people were to grow $1,000 worth of food in 1 year in the poorest part of the society, there you have $1 million in added food security. And food security translates into national security, because growing your own food is like printing your own money. We have had weddings at our building, we've had funerals at our building, we have had Islamic birthrights at our building, so many different sessions, drone technology sessions. We had free CXE classes in maths, English.
I remember seeing that advertising.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about this center.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For the viewers who don't know, where is the Kwame Ture Center located?
Right. So the Kwame Ture Center is located in Success Laventille, or the area known as Eastern Quarry. It's literally on the Eastern Main Road when you're leaving Port of Spain. As soon as the Eastern Main Road splits in two with the back road, we are the very first corner right there.
So that is where you have to go up in the mornings before 9 o'clock.
Yes.
On a Monday to Friday.
But at the very beginning there. And if you're coming to the center...
That is across from Success Laventille Secondary.
On the same side of the road as Success Laventille Secondary, but opposite CGA.
Right.
Coconut Growers Association. But when you're coming to the Kwame Ture Center, you have to make an immediate left.
Left, yeah.
Because if you pass that corner, you have to turn around and go all the way back into Port of Spain.
To come back up, because you cannot come down the back road.
Yeah.
The back road is one way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have martial arts training, we have brothers classes, we have sisters classes, we have guest presenters from time to time in a number of different fields.
But that sounds like
yeah.
that's something like a center for the community.
Yes, Brother Mtima. Yes, Brother Mtima. It's a center for the community. Okay.
Let's get back on track, Brother David.
Yeah, let's.
No, but all right, and okay, so you're located like at the foot of Laventille.
Yes.
You could say.
You could say the very beginning of Laventille, and it's a very central zone.
Yeah, ideally located
Yeah.
too.
And I mean,
In the heart of it, because on one side, because that was where a lot of the tension was located.
Yes.
Between the quote-unquote Rasta and Muslim city warring factions.
yeah, and I mean, when we first moved in, when we first occupied the land, a lot of people felt, well, why would you want to build a center there?
In the heart.
And we put up this big sign, as I have said, Islam stands for peace, Rastafarianism stands for love. It's impossible for peace and love to be at war with each other unless it's not real peace or it's not real love. We took the sign down about 3 years later because that particular manifestation of the conflict is ended. I
Well, we
remember,
are numbers now.
yes, exactly, the
6, 7, 8, and 9.
But, you know, all of that is a work in progress.
Yeah, it is.
Because in order to build the center, we had to get the cooperation of so many of our people from different fields of human endeavor. Muslims, of course, we are Muslims, we built it, but there were so many of our people who would identify themselves as Rastas, who would have assisted in so many different areas. We've had persons who donated equipment, manual labor. We have our own plumber, we have our own electrician, we have our own carpenter.
It was like a gayap.
Yeah, exactly. You know,
where everybody
skills
come together.
bank and think tank. And we actually finished the construction in the month of Ramadan in 2018. So we would be building, and then we'll break fast together, and then we'll go back to work. I mean, back in the last few days, we were working late into the night. But yeah.
So we understand where the center is located.
Yeah.
What you all do at the center.
Yeah.
Why the name Kwame Ture?
Right. So Kwame Ture was born on June 29th, 1941 on Oxford Street in Port of Spain.
And I know exactly where.
Yeah.
I've been looking for that house for a while too.
Right, because there's a plaque right
front,
there.
yeah.
And Kwame Ture is one of the great unsung heroes of Trinidad and Tobago. He was born under the name Stokely Carmichael. He was very heavily involved in the civil rights struggle in the United States of America. He marched alongside Dr. Martin Luther King. He was the head of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. He was arrested several times for nonviolent protests and marches alongside Dr. Martin Luther King. And then in 1966, he met the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he became inspired to pursue the line of black empowerment. He actually popularized the phrase black power.
Yeah, I heard so.
And he also coined the phrase institutionalized racism. As a lecturer and teacher in England over the last couple of years, I've seen in so many sociology and social science textbooks speaking about Stokely Carmichael or Kwame Ture from Trinidad and Tobago, who coined the phrase institutionalized racism to explain a system whereby racist ideology infects the daily operations of institutions and organizations, even without the presence of persons who are actively attempting to instill an agenda. It is like racism without racists, that the social cultures of an institution have become so ingrained towards the promotion of white privilege and white supremacy and the denial of freedom, justice, and equality to people of color. So Kwame Ture built on those ideas, and I would have met Kwame Ture for the first time in 1996 through Imam Yassin Abu Bakr.
Hello. You can't take all that glory I had the privilege also.
Yes, of course.
Of being at
Spectacular
Forum.
Yeah.
And I
That
want to
was in
say
June 1996.
well, I want to say this to the viewers that I made it my business, an effort to attend that lecture because I was not conscious around his era. And I said, when I learned of him, I said, I have to see this man in person.
Yeah.
I have to be present at that lecture at the Spectacular Forum.
And ironically, for the annual Nation of Islam Convention, the Savior's Day Convention, which is held in February every year, I attended my first one in February 1996, which is when Minister Farrakhan gave me my surname, Muhammad.
Okay.
At that event, this is the first time I'm attending, I'm seeing Minister Farrakhan on stage announcing that our brother Kwame Ture was not well and that we should remember him in our prayers. And that was actually the first annual Nation of Islam Convention
that he missed.
That Kwame Ture was not there as a guest speaker. So here I am, it's my first one. It's the first one, he's not there.
He's not there.
And then, of course, met him in Trinidad later on in 96. And then back in Chicago for the convention in 1997. He was there as a guest speaker, and I met with him afterwards. And Minister Farrakhan had called him up during his presentation and said that the Nation of Islam is going to do something very special for him in his name. Yeah. And it was coming back from Jamaica in November 2015 after launching Black Studies, the book in Jamaica, and scheduled to go to England on December the 6th. I was asked to come up to Chicago by Minister Louis Farrakhan in that short time frame in between, which I did, and we met. We had a 5-hour meeting, and it was then I presented the idea to Minister Farrakhan to name our building that we were constructing, in honor of Kwame Ture, which of course he gave full approval for. And this has been a great opportunity as well to teach so many of our young children about who Kwame Ture was and what he stood for.
Yes.
And we have seen since then, of course, the government had decided, in part at least, to rename Oxford Street Kwame Ture Street. Just as Penny Kamiziang, who's also been our guest at the Kwame Ture Center recently, Queen Street to be renamed Penny Kamiziang Street.
I think a part of Charlotte Street,
Chinatown.
No, not Upper.
Yeah.
Has been renamed. Oh God.
Chinatown.
No, Upper. Wrong by Shafford Courts.
Renegades Boulevard.
No. Oh, good. I can't remember, but it's named after. I think that Pan Man or something is named after.
Oh.
And even the old...
Well, Old St. Joseph Road has been renamed in honor of Bertie Marshall.
Bertie Marshall, yeah.
And there's some amazing history with that too, because my last trip before the opening of the Kwame Ture Center was to New York. And I actually met, just before boarding the plane to fly from New York back to Trinidad, I met 2 relatives of Bertie Marshall. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the name of... I saw this sign up by Oxford.
Right.
And Charlotte Street.
Yeah.
Yeah. As I pass Kwame Ture House going across.
Right.
They crossing the lights.
Yeah.
I saw this. I really can't remember it all. So
yeah, and I don't want to guess.
No. So what viewers can do is drop it in the chat.
Yeah.
On Facebook when they watching this. But I can't remember it often. Yeah. So that is interesting that. Because the name Kwame Ture is very important, eh?
Yeah, it's a powerful name, and it's worldwide.
For the people.
And a lot of people aren't aware that Kwame Ture was born in Trinidad.
On Oxford Street.
He took the first name of Kwame Nkrumah of Ghana and the surname of Sekou Touré of Guinea, and formed the name Kwame Ture, and he started the All African People's Revolutionary Party. And that has also been a worldwide phenomena. Of course, Kwame Ture passed away on November 15th, 1998. Yeah. And there's a photograph of, I know Imam Yassin Abu Bakr would have went to visit him along with the Nation of Islam International representative, Brother Akbar Muhammad, who was with us in Trinidad as well. And Kwame Ture said, tell the world after I die that I died from FBI-induced cancer. Of course, Kwame Ture was very mindful of that. He was on the FBI's watch list.
Target,
and that this has not changed with so many of our great leaders and elders and scholars and historians. And but you know, we ensure that his name lives on through our work.
I want to really thank you, Brother David. Brother Hasib, I think we need to have an extension of this program, or probably like a part 2. You know, so you have it for part 1, part 2, because this was a very, very insightful and motivational conversation, especially we ended on that note of Kwame Ture, the importance of his legacy and why it was supposed to uplift those, especially in that East Port of Spain area, right? Because he is from that soil, right? He's one of us, and he did so much for the world in terms of black power, black awareness, right? And it's really nice to have that discussion in the month of African Heritage Month, this November.
Which and I just want to salute the 3 great black women who pioneered African History Month: Maureen Thompson, Asha Cambon, and our sister, who was the wife of the great I.T. MacLeod, Sister MacLeod. And the 3 of them, you know, came up with the idea of using November as the traditional February is normally consumed by the carnival period in Trinidad and Tobago. And I just came from the African History Month celebration, Black History in England, which is October.
Okay.
And you know, it's sad to say, Black History Month in England appears to be a lot bigger, a lot more recognized than it is here in Trinidad for November. Because the Parliament acknowledges it. The Prime Minister, the MPs, and they have huge displays in all of the schools, which are sponsored by the state.
There's some work to do.
Exactly.
So we started here on well, I shouldn't say we started it here. We're continuing here on IBN to acknowledge African Heritage Month. You know, so we want to thank you, Brother David, for sharing your story with us today. May Allah continue to strengthen our faith and guide us all on the straight path. If you have been touched by what you heard today, remember that guidance is a mercy from Allah. Seek knowledge, ask questions, and reflect on the beauty of Islam. If you would love to share your story, contact me at 479-4510. And if you want to sponsor Islam Choose Me, and I know you want to sponsor Islam Choose Me, or any other program on IBN, contact Brother Hasib Majid at 795-5900. Join us next Sunday at 9 a.m. And remember, there's a repeat on Saturdays at 6 p.m. inshallah for another episode of Islam Choose Me, because every path to Islam is a story worth sharing. I want to big up our in-house technical crew of Saif and Sadiq for this amazing set. Until then, I'm your host, Brother M.T. Masarwazi, the activist educator. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.